Hello, everybody. This is a Spinbot here again with another production session. Today, we're looking at the song we were working on last time. It was in the very early stages last time we were making this track. It was really just the beginning phase and coming up with some ideas for basses and all that, but it didn't really get fleshed out too much because it was just the beginning part. So what I decided to do now is I worked on this project for a decent amount of times, decent amount of hours. Put in about another 6 hours of work into it, and got it to the point where it's a pretty well and presentable track. The idea now is to enhance the way it sounds and to compose it just a little bit better, add more elements to it that make it a decent track into hopefully a good track, at least in my what I consider a good track, right? So we're gonna switch over to our production setup here. And if you'd like to, we're going to go ahead and take a listen to what we have so far here. I'll go ahead and pull up the full timeline. You see I got organized my tracks a little bit better here. I kind of slapped everything around. I have some tracks I'm not using either, but we'll worry about organization later. Let's go ahead and take a listen to what I have. We'll play it to the first break here.
Is this Riddim?
Okay, so you get the idea there. The second half, it really just repeats the whole thing over again, which we're going to add some other stuff to that too. But right now, I'm liking the way it sounds. So the main thing I need to do is a little bit with the arranging of the drop, and to also put some more contrast in the drop when it comes to the sounds. So if it's too repetitive to the point where it just seems lazy, want there to be some more excitement for the drop. So one thing I noticed though that I have a problem with right now, and one thing I wanted to work on today is the transition from the build up to the drop. The beginning phrase is very calm, right? You get this ominous piano, and then it kind of goes into the drum beat, which I'm really proud of the drum beat. I like the drum beat very much right here. Oops, right. Has that almost RJD2 type of beat to it, but very punchy, very loud, right? The thing is that it's kind of very calm. When it comes to the build-up just doesn't cause enough tension, and then the drop hits, right? But it just seems a big turn, big change. Right, it's a little repetitive as well. So what we're gonna try to do is work on this transition to make it seem more, seem to make more sense here, right? So we're gonna start from the build-up here and take a quick gander at what we're working with here.
Is this Riddim?
So, I think one thing we should do is what I like to call a hang time. This is basically a 2 to 4 bar phrase where it's usually just a bass by itself or some sort of factor without the drums that kind of hangs that tension there that the build up reached, right? So, and after about the 2-bar phrase, then it drops. And I think we can actually introduce the new sounds in the drop a lot more subtly, or at least, yeah, introduce them a little more subtly overall in the hang time, so that when it drops, it it punches and it makes sense. So let's go and try that right now. I'm gonna start with 2 bars. So let's do a 2-bar thing right here. Go create, insert silence, right? So let's just take a listen here.
Is this rhythm?
3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, timing was a little bit off on my end, but we're gonna introduce the sounds here. So let's go over to our wubs. I have our wubs here. The main ones are these ones. Added a lot of effects to it. So I actually like this triplet right here, though. This one right here. See all these effects I've added to that as well. So I'm gonna take this sample, copy it, and we're gonna move it to the build-up. I'm thinking of having a something like that, right? So let's go ahead and start putting that together here. I think I should have some drums. Well, that's not the build-up, sorry, the hang time, which is gonna be right here, yes. So let me go to my triplet. This is in 12/8. This is, I guess you consider it 12/8, but it's a triplet based track, right? A lot of swing to it. I can probably get rid of this. Yeah, this side chaining here. Okay, so just put that in for now. And last one right here. Okay, so let's just hear from the build up just real quick. Not the build up.
Is this rhythm?
So yeah, you can kind of see what I'm going with right there. So let's add some more sounds. So what does it need? I like this sound right here. Okay. Could add that. I kind of want to just add one of these. This is the normal sound we have. Not in this one though.
Is this rhythm? Is this rhythm?
Oh, that one's off. Oh, I see, yeah, the downbeat. Huh. There we go. Okay. Let's add some drums here. With that, come on. We create hit Control Shift M, and that creates a MIDI channel or a little MIDI clip. Oh, it's not selected. I accidentally chose this one. Let's have some drums here. I'm gonna come up with like a cool drum pattern. Okay, let's try that again. I'll loop this a couple times. Nah. What I do need is some hats. I'll show you some ideas there, which just didn't really work out, in my opinion. Here we have our... Excuse me. Yeah, that's not the phrase I wanted. Going for it. Oh, is this one? Okay, it was a loop. I forgot. I thought I had it in a drum machine. But so I'm looking for the hi-hats right here. So I think that makes sense. Let's go ahead and trim that down a little bit more. That. Okay, cool. So
Is this rhythm?
I'm wondering if the drums even need to be there, because having a drum and a downbeat like that kind of signals to the listener that the drop has began, which is not true. It's a hang time, so it drops on the next 2 bars. I could put like a lighter kick. I actually have a kick I use for like the syncopated rhythms on this one. It's a little bit more choked. I could probably put it there. Let's see. Let's go ahead and copy what we have over here. Control X that. Oh, not that. Wrong clip. This clip. I'm gonna zoom in so I don't keep doing that. Control X that. And bring it over to this kit. Control M to create a MIDI clip. Control V. Like that. I kind of want some snares in there too. I don't know. No, I want a big old like roar here, right? Let's go to a web machine. These, my friends, are my web machines. These are CRM patches that I create the audio clips with. I'll create a new one here. And delete what's on there currently. What do I have there currently? Oh, yes. Very quiet, though. We can start off with a preset and just modify it to our needs. There's a bunch of good ones that I have. Try this one. A lot of effects. Just turn these off and just see what it sounds like without that. Okay, so that is too low. Also too short of a phrase there. It's not a triplet. That's why. That get made. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and add a... Let me delete all this first, because this is for the other synth. All these effects here. And, we'll probably just do a fat rack. I also have this on the toilet effects chain. I got this from Barely Alive's Patreon. Their Patreon, if you a band, Barely Alive, great dubstep producers. They for their patrons every month they release what's called these care packages for audio producers, and they actually had this one called On the Toilet, an effects chain that they put on like a random synth, and I like it a lot. I'm gonna try it with it and without it. But let's go ahead and do our fat rack and see how it sounds with that. I like that. I like that sound too, however, it rings too much. There we go. Let's go ahead and render that. So, control freeze. Not control freeze, right click, freeze. A good tip, if you're messing around with these really compressed sounds and they have all these artifacts in them, like on the tail end, render it down to audio, and just drag it to a track. I'm gonna make a new clean track for this one, yeah. So what I do is I take this here, this frozen section, I drag it to our empty track here, and now we have an audio clip, a lot more versatile in terms of how you can mess with it and just shape it to your liking, right? When you have it on a MIDI clip, it's just more convenient to have it this way. So let's take a listen to it now. I like it. So next up, we're gonna add a couple more effects. What I want is a frequency shifter. Forgot the name of it for a second. A frequency shifter is a great tool to have something go like upward or downward in terms of tone, to just have a cool effect. So I'm going to take the fine control here, hit A for automation. We're going to add that to an automation lane, and we're going to make it have a swipe up. So let's go from down up. Let's see how that sounds. Doesn't really make much of a difference, does it? Let's try from up down. Control Z is like my best friend. That's like a click to it. I like it. How about all the way down? I like it. Let's do... I keep forgetting the name of these effects, but I know which one I want. I just forgot the name of erosion. There we go. Like, oh yeah, that plugin, the plugin that does this and that, and forget the name. That's good. I'm not sure if I like that click anymore though, so let's click on this and just do clip volume and just trim off just a little bit of the beginning. You see, like why I like rendering the sound into audio, because you can do stuff like this much easier when you have it as a audio clip, especially in Ableton. Other DAWs may be easier to do with, or just keeping it as a MIDI track is fine, but when it comes to Ableton's controls audio-wise and just the clip section right here, I really prefer that. So when I render out a MIDI sound to an audio clip, much easier. The downside is that if you want to make a small adjustment to the sound that involves you going into the synthesizer to do, of course you can't do that. I made a mistake before with a track, and I've already like changed the sound too many times. I couldn't go back to the old way I made it before after I rendered it. It was, yeah, that's just one thing, but I still prefer to do it this way. All right, let's go ahead and just take a quick listen from the drop. Oh, sorry, from the build up to the drop with this new little hang time 2-bar phrase we added here. So.
Is this rhythm?
Yeah. I like it. Okay, that works. I could probably mess around with it a little bit more, but I have the thing there. The canvas is on the paper. When we do the full mix down, I can mess around with those sounds a little bit more. We're still in the composition phase. We're still actually nowhere near the mix down phase yet. I just like to add I earball it with some mixing stuff, but the mix down I'm gonna do on my speakers over here, not on headphones. So I'm just focusing on getting all the stuff down on paper, right? All right, so the next part, so let's go ahead and listen to the drop, the first phrase of it, and this is what we're going to work on next, the drop itself. And then goes back into the breakdown. So one thing you've noticed in the sounds is that it's extremely repetitive, as in there's not a lot of variation involved with the sounds. It has the same 1 2 1 2 1 2 triplet sound, right? Which I do want to keep. That's kind of like the motif of the rhythm I want to do for this Riddim track, right? So I want to keep the way that sounds and continue that motif rhythmically. But I just think it needs a little bit more variation to that to keep the listener interested. So we're gonna need more sounds. So let's come up with an idea for a syncopation phrase. So I like the way it starts at the beginning. We'll keep that the way it is right now. So. So what I'm thinking is I added this little what sound right here. This guy. A little quiet too. I might need to beef it up a little bit. So here, right here. Yeah, it's kind of quiet, so let me boost it up a little bit. Oh my god, look at all these tracks. Let me collapse that drum kit. Yeah. Where is it? Oh yeah, it's hitting 0. You try OTT on it. There's already OTT there, but okay. Well, that smashes it to smithereens, but yeah, that won't work. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Maybe some saturation. We're gonna soft clip it. A little more stereo. And last but not least, let's EQ it. This is kind of mixing, but I wouldn't really consider this mixing. It is mixing, don't get me wrong, but it's not mixing in the way that you do a mix down. This is mixing in the sense that I'm taking the sound, I'm crafting it into a sound that I want. Okay, I think it slaps there, so what I want to do is move this over to the other side. The second part of that phrase, and then we'll have this be the full triplet run right here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I can answer in the best way that I can. I'm not really, I mean, I'm not much of a teacher, but I am teaching right now, so I'll share my wealth of knowledge here. Sorry, just checking something here on pulling up Facebook so that if anyone has any questions, I can actually answer them. Cool. Alrighty. Okay, so right when it hits. I like that. So then it's going to go on to the second part. The second set. Sorry, my computer is having audio issues. There we go. Okay. Goes through here. I'm just thinking about what to add here. Okay, so I think that's working out so far. Has some variation to it. Now here. It needs some sort of downbeat wab, wing wab. I want it to be a 2 count slap here. See that? What's our web machine doing here? Yeah, that one I didn't like too much. I mean, I created it for a little bit, but going back on it, it doesn't sound right to this track anymore. I think I might have an idea. E F or E D. B. Probably G. So I have an idea here. I'm gonna go. Okay, so so that sound wouldn't work there, but I like the idea of going from a G to an E. So I won't put that there, but on this, nothing. Yeah, I need something there, yeah. I'll just create a new track here. Here. Put in a serum patch. And let's just see. Almost alive, I like that. Nope. Yeah, none of these really work. Try metal. Okay, those are like melodic and harmonic ones. Let's do vicious dubstep. Ooh. We'll edit that around a little bit maybe, but too low, I think. Yeah, I like that. Let's go ahead and mess around with that a little bit. So, go back to our racks. We're going to do the good old fat rack. And we'll add on the toilet as well. Don't forget saturation. Oh, that's sat, not sir. Here we go. Saturator. And we can add some other stuff if we're feeling saucy. But this effects chain right here on the toilet has a lot of cool stuff too. So I'm going to turn that off though. And the saturator and just see what it sounds like. Needs a little crushing. This sounds good with the fat rack. Let's go ahead and crush it a little bit more. That's beefy. It's a little bit too high on the low end though. It adds like, it goes up like another 5 or 6 dB. Yeah, that's a lot of sub. I could just turn off the sub. Or make it go up an octave maybe. There is no sub, okay. I mean there is, but the sub is not on the plugin. Hear that little... What's causing that boom sound? The smush here. You can just turn it down, let's just see. That's fine, yeah. Bring it down a tad. A little bit more. And let's saturate the crap out of it. Put a soft clip on there. One thing I love about dubstep production and rhythm, to be specific, is you can do a lot of things that you should not be doing in other music inside of here. Like if my old live producer teacher told me or saw me doing this with saturator and just slamming things as hard as you could, I think he'd be very disappointed. But in the context of this kind of music, I think it's great. I think it's fun to do this kind of stuff. There's still a little bit of a... Now I'm losing a lot of the content, the sound though. That's fine. I think in the mix it sounds fine. Let's take a listen. Okay. Actually, I'll turn the stereo down. That works. It needs a side chain. You know, you can use side chaining with like a compressor. However, I find it using a volume knob way more efficient and way clearer sounding. Compression just doesn't do it anymore for me. So I add it manually, right? So I take a little section like this, I take the fader all the way down, and depending on what kind of compression or sidechaining you want, would determine what the level you put it at. But like for that, for instance, is too high, so I'm gonna give a big ramp. Maybe a little bit more. In fact, I should drag this back a little bit. Maybe right there. He just loses that little bit of transient at the beginning. That makes the kick so much more clear, and I just think it's much better than side chaining or compression side chaining. I don't know, it seems just more clear and more direct, right? When you just have everything just fade out when the kick comes in. I actually have a tool that does that. It's called LFO tool. I highly recommend getting this if you're into making EDM music where you need that kind of constant side chaining on the fours or something. This guy right here, LFO tool. By Zephyr, the same people that make Serum. Great fucking tool, but a little expensive, that's the only thing. I think it was like $50, but it's just a tool that I think is really worth investing. Alright, let's start from the build up and just see how it sounds. How it flows, right? We're in the composition stage still.
Is this rhythm?
Okay, I have a creative idea for this last part here. So I'm going to go over to this right here. I'm going to go and add in an EQ. We're gonna have it kind of go up, right? Just a simple, a simple ramp up on an EQ. So let's bring that up to 1500, 1400. That works. Cool. Now, here's a cool little trick if you want to make your EQ sound a little more obvious, but you don't want it to peak at like super low volumes that are kind of harsh. What I do is I also automate the Q. So right here, I do a ramp upward on the Q, so the Q follows the that, right? But what I do is I create a pretty deep curve like this. I'm not sure if you can see that, but that curve right there is exponential as it gets closer to the higher ends. So that Q. So there we go. I need it to be a little higher, so I'll put the Q to like 3. Actually, I should probably queue up this a little bit more. Let's do about 160, 170. I'll give this a little bit of a curve as well. Needs to be a little bit more obvious, honestly. This Q can actually go up. This can go up a little bit higher, and this, yeah, this Q can go up a lot higher too. Let's smash it and see what it sounds like. A little too high. I think it does go a little bit too high here. Oops. I had an itch in my back. Just thinking about what else I can do to make this a little more exciting. I could just slam it with a saturator right when it hits the peak. I want something a little bit more obvious though. Maybe a delay. I have a delay on this. Yeah. I can turn on the delay. I have it automated, right? Look at all these automation lanes. I do, I just don't have it as a lane. Let's go over to play. Buy some at that lane. Okay. Then feedback. Okay, I think I got it. Hey Nando, man, good to see you. How's it going? Glad you can make it out to the stream, dude. Okay, so now that sound gets a little bit too intense, so I'm gonna bring down the resonance by a lot. I don't think it needs to go to 100. Skills to pay the bills. Thanks for the compliment, man. I hope you're talking about me, but yes. Yeah, it's fun. I never stopped producing, man. Ever since 5 years ago when he came down to Warehouse 21, started doing some music, the workshops, right? Still doing it. We might be doing some more workshops again in the future if you want to continue making music. If you want to learn a little bit more from me, but I'll be doing these live streams. If you want to learn something from that, there's a lot in my history as well. I'm trying to get this sound to do what I want it to do, but delays are very hard to control sometimes. I want it to ring more, but you know what? I can boost this down to about 60, maybe 70. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to make the ring time a lot slower overall. For this last little section here. There we go. That's the sound. That's kind of what I wanted to do. I can't afford to boost it a little bit more though, since it's not so much of a sharp sound, right? That sounds cool. Just slide this to 100. Yeah, man. Nando, I hope you're still at it, dude. I haven't seen any posts from you recently about music, so hope you're still keeping at it, man. Something we should never, ever give up. You're a scale too. Okay, cool. Let me just take one more listen to it. Last thing I want to do here. Take this feedback. Actually, the time. There we go, and ramp that up just a tad at the end there. That sounds so cool. Thanks, man. Always at it. Just got off the keys a few minutes ago. Good. Keep it up. Always keep it up. Music's part of your soul, man. Can't give up part of your soul. That sounds cool. Let's keep that. Save it. Okay, so let's go ahead and listen to the build up to there and just see how it sounds. I think it actually may be pretty much finished. Maybe a little extra elements in there to keep it interesting. Let's see.
Is this Riddim?
Alright, cool. That is coming out pretty well, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna listen to it again and just see if there's any real other changes we want, or we just want to consider that done. I think it sounds cool, so we'll consider this part finished unless I come up with any other ideas later on. Let's work on the second half of this drop, which it starts here. That's incorrect. I forgot I had a 2-bar phrase there that kind of messed with the grid. Right here. 2 bars, man. Right here. Okay, so this downbeat, bum bum. I want it to like have this ring to it, so let's go to half a bar here and just rank. So this is the delay time, or sorry, the timing on the delay. I'll pull this up real quick. This is how I'm getting this kind of metallic sound. Over here, you'll see that I have. Oh, Jason, hey, how's it going, man? Good to see you. Jason Goodyear, my Ableton Live teacher, taught me everything I know about this software. Good to see you, dude. Hopefully, you can kind of see some of the things you taught me in work here. So right here, this is the delay. So the delay, I'm using it as a kind of a metallic sound. You'll see that it's on time. It's not on. Actually, I need to turn it on here. So there is a on-off button here. There we go. Device on. That's going to go on. But you'll see it's a pretty low milliseconds. The lower the milliseconds, it gives it a ring to the sound. That's very common in Riddim Dubstep. So when I ramp it up like this, what it's doing is that it's phasing in and out of itself, and it creates this like almost like a frequency shift upward, but it's not actually frequency shifting the sound at all. You'll see. So I'm gonna play that real quick. So it actually goes downward. Let's try upward. Just a little bit. I don't like the way it shoots down like that, though. I kind of like it. Instead of it having sweep, how about we just pull it down a little bit? Let's see. I don't like the way it shifts like that. Maybe if I pull this back a little bit. Oh, it's the feedback. Feedback that's doing that. Let's go and ramp that then. Is it feedback or no? I don't know. Good idea. Keep the first beat the same, but then we'll turn on the device here. Or I guess maybe not. Let's go ahead and just mute this for now. Let's see if we can use a different downbeat sound. That's how I'm getting that downward sound, like that, like as if it's going down in pitch. I guess it technically is, but it's more of a Doppler effect because I'm phasing it with the delay over here, right? So. Hey, thanks for dropping by, Nando. Pleasure to see you again, man. So this phrase right here has the same problem as the previous phrase, where it just kind of sounds too simple. We'll work on that in a second. I just want to get this downbeat here real quick. So, what do we want as a downbeat? I have a bunch of sounds to choose from. I liked this really sharp sound at the beginning of this drop over here. Let's go and copy that. Let's paste it in that spot, and let's see if it works. Well, that's the breakdown. I didn't relabel that. Right there. I have a weird idea. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it's worth trying. Hand hard left. Hand hard right. Like that. Let's put a utility on this though. So I'll give it a little sidechain just to kind of keep that sidechain feel. And again, I use my sidechain with a utility. See this? I'm putting the fader down and fading it upward. So I'm actually using a fader to act as a sidechain, which to me just sounds much more crisp and clear. I've been over that already in the stream, but I'm gonna do it on both because it gives it more of an eighth note feel. And have it cut out. Oops. Control Z, my best friend. Okay, cool. Kind of brings us into the second part of this drop. So that's actually going to be right here, drop 2. And this right here is actually the breakdown. Making good progress on this track. It's only been 2 days, and it's about 75% done, I would say. Maybe. I mean, it depends on how much more extra work I want to do with it. But I think this is going to go on the EP. Which, by the way, fellas, I have an EP I'm working on right now. If you guys are on the channel often enough, I've been pretty much streaming me producing all these tracks, except for a couple of them. But hopefully I can put out an EP by the end of this whole lockdown thing. That's the idea. That's why I'm trying to work as fast as possible. And streaming it motivates me to make progress, right? So you're on this journey with me. Really appreciate y'all coming out and checking out the stream. It means a lot to me. It means that I'm making content while also being stuck at home, right? All right, so what to do here? I kind of do want to do a repeat of the phrasing I did in the previous drop. So the first 8-bar phrase. So I have this whack sound, right? You remember that? Hear that sound right there? It's where is it? So many tracks right here. This little whamp right here. Or actually, no, sorry, it's here. This one. Right there. Is it on the second drop? It is there. Okay. So I have this little triplet fill right here. I'm gonna probably put that in the same spot relative to the second half. Oh, computer's freaking out. There it goes. Okay, cool. That works. I like that. What I do need to do though is remove it. Where is that trip? There's so many tracks here. I'm trying to keep track of it all. Get it. That was not intentional, but it happened. Was that where it was? That wasn't where it was. Put it in the wrong spot. Yeah, I put it in the wrong spot. There we go. Actually gonna put it over here. It works better here. Trying to create that variation. And I need to put this one back. There we go. It's getting really close to being finished, guys. Okay, so I do like the way this kind of goes downward, but it just doesn't sound right. So I'm going to mess around with this sound a little bit here and see if I can create some cool variation. So this first part of this phrase here, that goes downward, right? And the second part, I kind of want to continue it going downward, but it seems like they're not wanting to cooperate. So let's see. Maybe upward. No. I do like it going downward. Instead of this, that's the frequency shifter. I'm going to turn that off. How about we have the feedback do the opposite of what it was doing, go up. I just want this to contrast a little bit, so instead of a ramp up, how about we just put it at like 71%? Okay, I like that. Let's actually have it curve upward at the end here. This just gets loud. Okay. Let's have the frequency shifter shift it at the end there. The last little count. Ooh. And let's go, let's have it pan a little bit. Left, right. Left. Oops. Left. Right, let's do 23, 23. Probably gonna cause some phasing issues, but hopefully not. I like that. I like that. What do you guys think? Alrighty, let's go ahead and listen to it in context. Cool. I need to trim this triplet part here. Okay, then it's going to repeat. I love that piano. It's so cool. It needs more elements to it, but we'll work on that another time. Maybe today. We'll see. Okay, so instead of frequency shifting downward, we're gonna go upward. What do you think? I think I like it. What I am actually going to do with it then, if I'm going to keep that, there we go. I had this right here. Yeah. I'm going to put that on the second half. Easy. Easy clap. These two lanes. So that's a shift in the EQ. Did I delete something? What am I missing? What happened? Am I working on the wrong one? Oh, I was working on the wrong one. Dang it. This is the second half. My bad. That's fine. We can work on this and just copy it over. So I lost track of where all my which one I was working on. That works. So paste the ramp in the EQ. I guess not right there. Right there. I'll have this do a big ramp upward here. I actually prefer it that way. I don't like the frequency shifter doing anything there. Or maybe a little bit instead of a lot. Let's just do like a touch. Okay, just a touch is good. Okay, I think we're done with this first phrase completely. So I need to copy and paste this over. 8 bars. Just the whole thing. The whole automation lane. Come on. So this is pretty much how Riddim is made, or dubstep in general is made. These really weird sounds are all just effects being processed in automation lanes. You can see how many lanes I have here to work with this sound, and it's just a simple. That's all it is, right here. That's the entire length of the whole drop is just this sound right here. That's it, in terms of audio at least. Of course, I have all these effects that are making it sound different and have content or different sounding context to it, so that it keeps your interest throughout the length of the track, right? At least in my opinion. I mean, in the end, I'm not gonna say that this track is good. I'm gonna say though that it's at least somewhat well produced. That's again my opinion. And feel free if you guys want give me some critiques. If you have some ideas about how you can make it sound better, feel free to let me know. I love taking suggestions from people. That's not where I wanted it. I wanted it over here. Yes. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and from the very beginning here, I'm gonna take a listen. From the very beginning of the track all the way to the end of the drop to the second breakdown. Yeah, the first breakdown, which is the bridge, the second time that you heard the intro part. And then we'll work on the second half. Once we're done with the second half, I'm just gonna do a mix down and a master. And honestly, I should probably have it done in a day or two. Maybe. Right now, it's getting to the point where it's feeling pretty finished. So let's start it from the beginning here and take a listen.
Is this Riddim?
Alright. I did notice at the end it got cut off pretty early. I wonder if that's just a mistake of the pasting.
Is this Riddim?
I need to work on that hang time a little bit more. Oh yeah, it does. Did I get it off? What happened here? Okay. Just turn all these off. Now is a good time as ever to add a little IQ to this. I really like those hi-hats. They just sound so cool. Like, it's trappy. It's definitely trappy. I guess I just have a natural tendency to put trap sounds in my music. Now, the key to crispy hi-hats is to bake them. You cook them with a saturator. Come out nice and crispy. We're working on this hat sound right now. I have this thing, Decapitator. It's a great plugin for distortion. It has this tone knob here. I'm going to change that to a little bright. It's kind of like an EQ, where it raises up the high end, but it adds distortion to it in a certain way as well that I really find pleasing. We're going to crank this up to about 5 and just see how it sounds. Now, I'm mixing in headphones, so it's never a good idea to do that, but I think it sounds good as an effect. It's a little loud, probably. Okay, whatever we add in Decapitator, we should also remove. So let's go ahead and remove about 4 or 5 dB. When it comes to mastering, when it comes time for mastering, I think that should sound like it's punching through, hopefully. That sounds good. That sounds good. I think this phrase is pretty much done. We can move on to the second phrase. Now, this is my idea for the phrase. So let me go ahead and show you how I have this composed. So I'm going to collapse all my tracks here. I'll probably get rid of these tracks here. Yeah, they're taking space. So I have my drums. I have... Oh, that's an old vocal I don't need anymore. I have my drums, my wubs, and my sound effects, and my piano. That's really all these tracks are. Of course, there's other tracks inside them. That has a lot of mixing to do, but 4 tracks, pretty much. That's what I love about Ableton Live 10, is that you can put groups inside of groups. So when you think of it in the context of just 4 tracks, it's much easier. I mean, when recorders first were like becoming a mainstream thing, there were only 4 tracks, right? That was it, a 4-track recorder. That was it, and they were expensive too. And people made like huge orchestral sounds with it, right? It's the concept that you want to bring into your mixes as well, to keep it simple. 4, 5, 6 tracks, that's it. But where you could get complicated is the tracks within tracks, right? So and every track has their own mixes, right? My wubs have their own thing here, but each individual wub sound has their thing as well, and that's specific to its sound. So once you mash them all together into a track, you sum them all to one track, they just sound more consistent, right? That's one of the best lessons I learned when using this with Ableton Live 10, is how to just keep it simple while also keeping it complex at the same time. Best of both worlds. Second half. So this is the idea of my composition, right? So I have the intro. I have the build-up from the intro that leads to the drop. The drop goes through 2 phases. The first 8 bars and the second 8 bars, or 16 bars actually. Then after that, it goes into the breakdown, which is essentially just the intro and the build-up again. So the intro and the build-up are the same exact thing as here, with an extra 8 bars, right? Just to have everyone chill out for a moment after raging at that drop, right? Now, going into the second drop, it's going to build up pretty much exactly the same way, but it's going to drop differently. It's going to have a different sound to the drop. It's going to probably have a different sound altogether completely. I might use the same one and just add some different syncopation to give it contrast. Maybe. But the second half, though, the half point here, which I should label properly as half, will be the same. And familiarity is something you want to keep in the song too, so having that be the same just ends it on a good note. So we're going to take this drop here. Well, first thing I want to do is actually copy and paste what I have right now. That includes all the automation, yes. I'm just going to do the whole caboodle here. One thing I need to add here as well is I need to add another 2-bar hang time here. Great. Silence. Go. That paste properly. I'll work on that pre-drop part a little more, make it make more sense. But it's there just for ease of knowledge. I like just getting the idea onto paper, onto a DAW in this case. It's gonna be right here. Just making sure everything is consistent here. That's the build. Stretching.
Is this rhythm?
So this is going in, this is the sound that's going to be different. So I did actually have this phrase here. Let's go ahead and listen to it. Let's see if it works. I like the way it sounds. I want quarter notes. The problem is that it's doing a duple, a 1 and 2, where it's triplet based, the song, right? Triplet 1, triplet 2, 1 and 2, and it can work. I just don't think it works in this context. I could probably make it work if I wanted to, but I'm not sure if I'm keen on the sound. It does sound way too different than the rest of the song. So we're gonna scrap that. Come back to it another time, maybe. We could. Let's see if we can find some interesting stuff in our sound banks here as a replacement. Try that. That's a 150. I hate that Live does this. Control D doesn't work. I have wrong here because it's automation mode. Okay, that's why. Yeah, it does sound a lot different. However, let's go ahead and try adding that sound that we were just messing around with into this track.
This rhythm?
I'm gonna ditch that idea. I'll keep that there in case I want it in the future, but I think instead of just redoing the whole sound, I'm just going to go ahead and just resyncopate it, make it a little bit different in that way to create the contrast that I'm looking for. But right now, I've been streaming for about an hour, I think, roughly. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break here, use the bathroom, and just do what I need to do. But give me a couple minutes here. Won't be too long. And we'll be right back. Let me go ahead and play some music on the way out. See you guys in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. Got some water here. Keep the throat nice and loose and lubricated. Let's get back into it. Fade that out, and we're good. Okay. What to do now? So we're basically in some of the final steps of the composition phase. I am just trying to make this initial drop on the second half of the track sound a little different, so that it keeps the listener's attention. So how we have it now is, so you'll see right here there's two parts. There's the first drop, the half of that, the breakdown, the build up again, and then the drop, right? Now, this drop right here sounds exactly the way it is right now, exactly like the first. I just copied and pasted it. Let's take a quick listen to it again. Okay, so that's what we're working with. And it sounds good the way it is now, but that's already done at the first half. So let's change it up a little bit. So I decided to just keep the sounds that I have and just work around them. Got an idea? Oh, there is utility on this already. Okay, cool. Utility. Gain. We're going to bring this up. Okay, cool. We're going to have it do a ramp. Then panning. Be hard right, hard left. Not hard left, but almost hard left. Almost hard right. Then middle. Oops. I command at the same time as my spacebar. Then have this frequency shift upward. Sounds a little weird though. What's going on? It has a big old dip in there. Does that? I don't like that sound there. What happens if I have one more in there? Will it sound weird? Having 5 of them in a row? I kind of like it actually. I'll have some sort of other context, contrasting sound in there too, though. Okay, so back into triplet grid, don't I? Yep. I just want to have it skip this whole time. Let's see if it sounds weird. Ooh, I kind of like it actually. Just have that swing the whole time. Oh, that's a good idea. I think. Let's see. That one needs to go away though. Okay, if we're gonna do that, great. Let's make it a little bit quieter because it's a little bit much right now. Just having it skip along the way there. Okay, if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna make another track that's purely. Oh no, it's still there. Okay, that's fine. Guess we can keep that. I can turn that one off and just temporarily pan this one hard left. Oh, it's okay. And this temporarily. All right. Just listening to see what I can do. It's hard to say.